My husband used our children's blood to save his first love. Ethan and I had been rivals since childhood in Manhattan's elite circles, all because I loved his brother Marcus, and he loved my sister Sophie. But when a deranged woman burst into a charity gala, holding a knife to my throat, screaming that my father had assaulted her and forced her to give birth to Maia's bastard child, Marcus only shielded Sophie in his arms, saying coldly, "So she's the crazy woman's daughter. If she dies, she dies." In my despair, it was Ethan who rushed forward, grabbing the blade with his bare hands. "Stop crying. If my brother doesn't want you, I do." After our marriage, I nearly died giving birth to our twins. He held me, sobbing, "Honey, childbirth is too dangerous. I'm getting a vasectomy tomorrow." I thought I was finally loved. I decided to make our marriage work. Until our twins disappeared on their 4th birthday. When we found them, I saw their pale, bloodless bodies and fainted on the spot. When I woke up, through the cracked hospital door, I heard Marcus shouting, "Ethan, are you insane? You drained both your children's blood at once." Ethan's face was eerily calm. Taking small amounts yearly was too slow to keep up with Sophie's deteriorating condition. As for children, we can have more. My children, whom I'd nearly died bringing into this world, were nothing but blood banks for his true love. If that's the case, I'll grant them their wish. Chapter 1. Ethan, you knew how much Claire loved those children. Yesterday was their 4th birthday. I didn't want to either, but who knew Sophie would have a sudden crisis yesterday? Marcus, Sophie's rare blood disorder, can only be treated with blood from direct relatives. The twins' blood type matched perfectly. I've been taking them for small donations to store at the hospital yearly, but this time I panicked and took it all. Ethan's emotions were escalating, barely keeping his voice down. I bit through my finger, tasting copper in my throat. So the children I'd nearly died delivering were just medicine for his beloved? But the night the children disappeared, Ethan had seemed more distraught than anyone. He'd frantically run to the preschool for security footage, sent bodyguards to search the neighborhood. The next morning, when police brought back our children's lifeless bodies, Ethan had smashed every piece of china in the living room, roaring about making the killer pay. Outside the hospital room, Marcus pulled out a cigarette, then remembered he was in a hospital and put it back, rubbing his temples in frustration. "Ethan. Claire was never favored in the Morrison family. You deliberately released her birth mother from the psychiatric hospital to stage that heroic rescue, tricking her into marrying you. A marriage built on deception is one thing, but not even leaving her one child? That's too cruel." My blood froze instantly, my scalp prickling with numbness. Ethan and I had been at each other's throats for over 20 years, then 4 years of seemingly happy marriage. I never imagined he could be this vicious. Ethan snorted, "If you hadn't been too soft-hearted to reject Claire's advances back then, making Sophie insecure, she wouldn't have needed my help." Speaking of Sophie, his tone instantly softened, like a devoted worshipper. "As long as Sophie finds happiness, I'll do anything." The bloody truth laid bare, I clutched the bedsheets, retching violently over the side. On our wedding night, I'd asked him when he fell in love with me. He'd flicked my forehead playfully, seeming helpless. "Dummy, didn't you ever wonder why, in all of Manhattan, I only fought with you?" I'd blushed then, thinking myself oblivious. Completely missing the mockery deep in his eyes. Marcus was silent for a moment, then sighed, "But Claire's always been stubborn. I'm afraid she'll investigate. I've already arranged a scapegoat. Don't worry about that, Marcus." Ethan paused. "Besides, Claire's already in love with me. She won't suspect me. We'll have more children. I'll spend my life making it up to her." Marcus patted his shoulder approvingly. "Well said. Sterling men don't divorce, only widowhood ends our marriages. I'll only ever have Sophie as my wife." Chapter 2. When Ethan pushed open the hospital room door, I fought my instinctive recoil, pretending to just wake up. "Honey, we found the killer. He's a serial child predator. I won't let him off easy." He opened a thermos, ladling out steaming chicken soup. Gently blowing it cool, he held it to my lips, coaxing me to drink. "Honey, I'm getting a reversal surgery. Once you're better, we can have more babies. Honey, we need to move forward. Let the past be the past. We have our whole lives ahead." I clutched his sleeve desperately, trying to speak, but tears came instead. "Don't cry, honey," he stroked my face, eyes reddening. "Please don't cry. Seeing you like this kills me." As if remembering something, he suddenly grabbed my hand urgently. "Honey, let's bury Max and Emma today. It'll help you heal faster." I stared at him in disbelief, my voice trembling. "The funeral should be 3 days. How can we bury them today? Honey, I just want you to move on quickly." Ethan tried to continue, but I threw off the covers and ran for the door. "Honey, you're not wearing shoes." I fled the hospital, quickly hailing a cab. "Driver, to East Side Manor, hurry." After the cab stopped, I used facial recognition to enter the house. When the police returned the twins' bodies, I'd fainted immediately. Ethan had rushed me to the hospital, leaving them in the nursery temporarily. Opening the door, Max and Emma lay there peacefully, as if only sleeping. With trembling hands, I touched their cold, pale faces, tears streaming. "Mommy's sorry. Mommy found you. A monster for a father." I was about to call the hospital to have them properly stored when I caught a tiny movement from Emma's finger. My heart pounded as I pressed my ear to her chest. After what felt like forever, I heard the faintest heartbeat. I immediately called 911, send an ambulance. By the time Ethan reached the children's hospital, Emma was already in the ICU. His face was ashen. Emma's alive? It's all my fault. I should have noticed. From now on, I'll protect you both properly. I ignored him, staring at the door that separated life from death. For 2 days and nights, I didn't dare close my eyes. Finally, I got the news that my daughter was out of danger. The doctor looked grave. Your daughter lost too much blood. She'll likely need medication for life. But I was nearly crying with relief, as long as she's alive. For the next week, I never left Emma's bedside. When Sophie came with Ethan to bring food, I had the nurse test it for toxins. Her eyes reddened. You suspect I'd poison the food? I'm your sister. Emma's my niece. Ethan looked pained. Claire, you've really lost it. On the 7th day, Emma finally woke. I immediately reached for the call button. But her fingers caught mine weakly. Looking down, I saw Emma swallow, her eyes pleading. Mommy, I want cotton candy. Sweetie, you're too weak for treats right now. Emma's lashes fluttered. Mommy, it hurts. My heart broke. Mommy will get it right now. Stay here and don't move, okay? She nodded, her voice soft and sweet. Emma will be good. I called the nurses, instructing them to watch her carefully, then rushed downstairs. In just 10 minutes, I was back with cotton candy. But at the room's entrance, the doctor stopped me. His expression was grave. Mrs. Sterling, I'm sorry. Your daughter just went into cardiac arrest. She's gone. I rushed into the room. The monitor showed a flat line. Emma's body, warm just minutes ago, was already cold. The cotton candy hit the floor. The next second, I grabbed the doctor's collar, nails digging into his flesh. You killed her. You all killed her. Nurses rushed to pull me off. I fought like a wild animal until Ethan arrived. Chapter 3. Claire, enough. This is a hospital. Not your mother's psychiatric ward. His slap sent my ears ringing. I stood frozen, holding my swollen cheek in disbelief. As if just realizing what he'd done, he pulled me into his arms in panic. Honey. Doctors aren't gods. He did his best. You have to accept it. So her mother really is mentally ill. No wonder she's acting crazy. Must be hereditary. That scene was terrifying. Right? Why do mentally ill people have children? Just passing on their problems. Someone like her shouldn't be a mother. So low class. Nurses stood at the door, pointing and whispering, their eyes full of disgust. Seeing my hands trembling, Ethan roared at them, shut up. Say another word and I'll have this hospital shut down tomorrow. No one gets to judge my wife. He defended me so fiercely, forgetting he'd caused all this. Don't touch me. I shoved him away angrily and fled. Outside the children's hospital, I went straight to the police station. I reported the doctors for malpractice and questioned whether they'd caught the real killer. The officer taking my statement was patient, recording everything I said. But as I grew impatient with his speed, rapid footsteps approached from behind. Seeing who it was, the officer smiled politely. Mrs. Sterling, we'll need you to cooperate with an examination. Before I could react, something pricked my neck and everything went black. When I woke, I was strapped to a bed. Sophie sat beside me. Seeing me awake, she dabbed at non-existent tears. Claire, you're finally awake. You scared me so much. I looked around, unease growing. Where is this? This, she cooed, the psychiatric hospital. Your mother's in the next room. Mother and daughter reunited at last. Happy? Did Ethan send me here? I raged. Ethan, you bastard. Come out. Shoo, Sophie put a finger to her lips. Don't shout. This is the city's most secure psychiatric facility. Once you're in, you can't get out. Unless someone deliberately releases you. Seeing my face pale, Sophie laughed. Looks like you know. Your mother was released by Ethan years ago. All because I said you kept hovering around Marcus, making me insecure. I asked him to help, and he actually sacrificed himself to marry you. Intense anger made my stomach cramp. I forced down my emotions, trying to stay calm. We're half-sisters. Why do you hate me so much? Since childhood, you've taken everything I wanted. Taken? Sophie laughed harshly. Before finishing, she lunged forward, choking me viciously. If your mother hadn't seduced my father, how would he have had you, his bastard child? You shouldn't exist. The Morrison family should only have me as the legitimate daughter. I could tolerate you being unfavored, but grandfathers will included you. Why? All Morrison assets should be mine alone. As I turned red, nearly suffocating, she suddenly released me, leaning close like a viper. So I told Ethan something else. I said I was sick with a rare blood disorder that only direct relatives' blood could treat. I tested the whole family's blood and found only Max and Emma matched. That fool actually took them for blood draws every year. This time I just acted more critical, and he immediately drained them both. Malice glittered in her eyes. You should have seen Max and Emma being held down by his bodyguards, forced onto chairs for blood draws, crying so desperately, calling Daddy, it hurts, I don't want to give blood. But Ethan was afraid I'd soften, so he broke their limbs and taped their eyes and mouths shut. Emma was tough to survive that. I had to faint again in front of Ethan. You didn't see how worried he was, personally holding down the struggling, crying Emma. To drain her blood again. Tell me, how much must he love me to sacrifice his own children? Chapter 4. Watching me finally break down sobbing, Sophie smiled with satisfaction. Claire, guess how your mother went insane? My pupils dilated, she wasn't born crazy? After that scene years ago, Robert Morrison had found me specifically, saying he'd been bewitched by my mother's youth and beauty, not knowing she was naturally insane who'd accuse him of assault after sleeping with him. I'd always believed it, even hating Hera mental patients seducing men and having children. How amusing, Sophie tucked her hair behind her ear, your mother was driven insane by mine. Before she even finished her postpartum recovery. And now, it's my turn. The mentally ill woman's daughter should be mentally ill too. She waved, and orderlies brought in electroshock equipment. I struggled desperately, my desperate cries finally summoning Ethan. Seeing the wired treatment device in the orderly's hands, his expression shifted. Sophie, is this treatment necessary? He looked at my tear-stained, gaunt face, frowning. Claire's always been sensitive to pain. Can't we use something gentler? Just medication? He moved to untie me. The moment my feet touched ground, Sophie approached. Claire, the anesthetic should still be working. Let me help you. I instinctively blocked her, I don't need your fake kindness. Ah. Sophie screamed, her body slamming hard into the wall. It hurts. She slid weakly to the floor, tears spilling over. Sister, I just wanted to help treat you. Why don't you believe me? Why push me? Ethan's eyes turned red with rage. He immediately tied me back to the bed. Claire, you've gone too far. I asked Sophie to visit you. Blame me, not her. After speaking, he quickly knelt to help Sophie. But she collapsed boneless into his arms, tearfully rolling up her sleeve to reveal a vivid bite mark on her snow-white arm. I just wanted to give my sister water, but she suddenly had an episode and bit me hard. Ethan carefully cradled her injured arm, his chest heaving, breathing ragged. After a long moment, he bent down and gently kissed the bite mark, his eyes full of obsessive devotion. Sophie, it's my fault. I'll leave Claire to you. She hurt you, punish her as you see fit. The moment electricity coursed through my body, I arched violently, white spots exploding across my vision. I wanted to scream, but my throat felt stuffed with burning cotton, only broken whimpers escaping. Increase the voltage. Sophie watched my humiliation with interest. Ethan clenched his fists, striding from the room with harsh words. Claire, reflect on yourself. I'll come get you when you're ready to apologize. Watching him leave, I hazily remembered the month after giving birth. Though Ethan had hired the best postpartum nurse, he insisted on caring for me personally. He carefully washed my hair, cleaned me, changed pads, never complaining once. Only when burping the twins or changing diapers did he frown. These two cubs are so ugly. They didn't inherit any of your beauty. I'd laughed and scolded, newborns haven't grown into their features yet. Good, Ethan buried his face in my neck, inhaling my milky scent obsessively, honey, you smell so good. I want to eat you up. Don't forget your big baby just because you have two little ones. I'll be jealous. Thinking how all that love was fake, that he only loved Sophie. I gasped for air, tears and sweat dripping, leaving only hatred in my heart. My wrists were rubbed raw by the restraints, the metal buckles embedding deeper with each struggle. I finally couldn't hold back, begging for mercy, only earning Sophie's sharp laughter. Increase it more. My temples pounded like hammers smashing into my skull. Suddenly, I convulsed like a dying fish. Haha, look everyone, she wet herself. I don't know how many days of torture passed. I'd cried all my tears, falling completely silent. Not speaking, not eating, like a soulless doll. Seeing me like this, Ethan frowned, a flash of panic in his eyes. He inexplicably felt a huge void in his chest, like he'd lost something forever. But he quickly calmed himself, muttering, at least she's not crying anymore. In the middle of the night, someone pushed me with cold hands. I opened my eyes, heart lurching. My mother. In her hospital gown, her eyes clearer than any mental patient's should be. Claire, listen, she pressed my shoulders, voice extremely low, the northwest corner wall has a loose brick. 3 a.m. rounds are lightest. Once out, run west. Someone's waiting. She pressed a sharpened plastic spoon into my hand, for protection. Remember, don't look back. Seeing the determination in her eyes, I teared up, Mom. She cried too, good girl, your suffering is ending. At 3 a.m., I pried loose the brick with the plastic spoon and crawled out. Behind me, flames suddenly erupted from the psychiatric hospital's direction. Chapter 5. The next morning, the psychiatric hospital was burnt ruins. News of my death spread quickly through Manhattan. When Ethan arrived after getting the news, he went completely mad. He screamed hoarsely, kneeling and digging frantically. Someone help. Dig. Even if we have to dig. 3 feet down, find my wife. Socialites who came to gawk saw his wretched state, their expressions changing. Still playing the grieving widower when everyone knows he put her there. Right? That fire was huge last night. How could a mentally unstable woman escape? I knew Claire. She was perfectly normal, not mentally ill at all. I suspect Ethan drove her crazy. Ethan heard nothing, just kept digging frantically, muttering constantly, "She's not dead. Claire wouldn't die. She's just hiding somewhere, throwing a tantrum. Honey, I was wrong. Please come out. I'll take you home right now." When his nails split and bled, he suddenly remembered our years as enemies. I'd loved grabbing his ear, scolding him for being a wastrel who couldn't accomplish anything. He'd howl dramatically like a slaughtered pig, retorting that this toad wanted to eat his brother, the swan. We'd hurt each other like this, enjoying it for over 20 years. Though marrying me was calculated, he knew clearly that if it hadn't been me, any other threat to Sophie would have been eliminated cruelly 1,000 ways. Sophie arrived late. Seeing the ruins, her eyes filled with gleeful satisfaction. She placed her hand on Ethan's shoulder, fake comforting him. "My sister was always clever. She definitely started this fire to force you to give in. Ethan, don't fall for her tricks." Seeing her was like seeing salvation for Ethan. He stumbled forward, hugging her legs, looking lost. "Sophie, is that true? Is Claire really just throwing a tantrum?" "Of course. Don't you trust me?" "Right, Sophie and Claire were sisters for over 20 years. She must understand her better than me." Ethan muttered to himself, as if finding the perfect self-deceptive excuse for his turning pain. Sophie crouched, gently stroking his back. "Claire's so stubborn. She wouldn't just leave. She must be hiding. When she's done being angry, she'll come back." Ethan looked up sharply, his scattered gaze meeting Sophie's tender eyes. Those eyes resembled his gentle mother who'd died young. The red gradually faded from his eyes, replaced by near religious devotion. He pressed his forehead to her palm like a young animal seeking shelter, whimpering. "Okay, I'll listen to Sophie." Sophie lowered her eyes, stroking his head, a vicious smile curving her lips. "Claire, you'd better be truly dead. Otherwise, let's see what you have left to fight me with." No one knew I was watching everything from a second-floor room in the hotel across the street. Seeing Ethan's near-insane dependence on Sophie with my own eyes, the last trace of pain flashed through my eyes before complete numbness set in. "Claire, we should go," a middle-aged man said behind me. "Your mother discovered something before she was driven insane." I turned, my expression calm. "All right, uncle." Last night, seeing the raging fire, my first instinct was to go back for Mom. But the person meeting me held me back desperately, his eyes full of determined pain in the firelight. "Claire, I'm your uncle. Your mother's been tortured all these years. She only wanted to die. She held on just for you. Now that you've escaped, she can finally rest." Chapter 6. Days passed. I finally recovered in a quiet Connecticut town. Reading the newspaper showing Sophie glamorously holding Marcus's hand on one side and Ethan's on the other, giving an anniversary speech at a Morrison luxury hotel. I sneered over my tea. 3 years. "Mom, it's time to settle our accounts." Night fell like ink. The Morrison mansion blazed with lights for a celebration. I wore red heels, escorting a special guest. Slowly pushing open the ballroom doors. Guests curiously examined my face, suddenly showing surprise. "Claire. Claire. Who's that woman she's with? Have you seen her before?" "No, she's wearing a traditional qipao. Not from our circles." Ignoring their whispers, I walked straight to the center of attention. Sophie wore an expensive couture gown, holding Marcus's arm, accepting congratulations with a radiant smile. In a distant corner, Ethan held a wine glass, his gaze glued to her, unable to hide his obsessive infatuation. "Sophie." My voice wasn't loud but silenced the noisy hall instantly. She turned. Seeing me, her face changed before quickly adjusting, crying as she rushed toward me. "Claire. You're really alive. Wonderful. Where have you been these 3 years? We all missed you so much, especially Ethan. He couldn't eat or sleep thinking of you, lost 20 pounds in a month." "Really?" I smiled lightly at Ethan. Meeting my gaze, his grip on the wine glass turned his knuckles white, eyes full of wild joy at finding what was lost. Seeing him set down his glass to stride toward me, I suddenly raised my hand, calling out, "Begin." As I finished speaking, the ballroom's central screen suddenly lit up. Old yellowed newspapers began scrolling. They showed Robert Morrison marrying into the Chen family, then having affairs with his secretary. I brought forward the woman behind me. "Everyone, allow me to introduce someone. This is my sister, Lillian Chen." My words were a boulder thrown into deep water, instantly causing huge waves. The murmuring grew louder. "The Morrison family only has 2 daughters, right? Where's this third one from? And surnamed Chen?" 30 years ago, Robert Morrison, my biological father, built his fortune on his first wife Anna Chen's family support, but had an affair with his secretary Martha during their marriage. My adoptive mother, Sophie's birth mother. The crowd erupted. "So Sophie is the mistress's daughter?" I gestured for silence, continuing calmly. When Anna Chen discovered this, she immediately sought a lawyer for divorce, but Robert Morrison poisoned her. She died within a month. Her 5-year-old daughter, my sister Lillian, was thrown into rapids by them. Fortunately, a passing woman saved her life. Sophie couldn't stand it anymore, stepping out with grievance. "Don't listen to her lies. She must be jealous I became the Morrison heir, so she hired an actress. These old newspapers prove nothing. Journalists write anything for money. People whispered, right, who believes media nowadays? Mostly nonsense. Ethan also rushed to me, eyes full of disappointment and impatience, grabbing my arm to drag me away. Claire, enough. I thought 3 years would change you, but you're still obsessed. And so vicious now. What has Sophie done to deserve you destroying her reputation like this? Every word defended Sophie while blaming me. Seeing everyone taking her side while I stood alone, Sophie smiled triumphantly at me. Chapter 7. I remained composed, shaking off Ethan's hand. Please look at the screen. Everyone turned back, their faces changing dramatically. The screen showed old footage. The camera shook badly but remained clear. A woman was force-fed black liquid by Robert Morrison, gripping her jaw. She cried, begging him to let her go, saying she'd leave with nothing. But Martha swayed out, her delicate hands on Robert Morrison's shoulders. She whispered seductively in his ear, Robert, you must eliminate the root. If you let her go today, she'll come back for revenge eventually. The footage cut off abruptly, replaced by photos. There was Martha standing on Anna Chen's corpse, intimately photographed with Robert Morrison, bank records of Robert transferring Chen family assets, even an autopsy report clearly stating, Anna Chen, cause of death, poisoning. To cover his crimes, Robert Morrison bribed many people, successfully transferred all Chen family assets, moved the family from Connecticut to Manhattan, declaring Martha his first wife to the public. From then on, the upstart Morrisons squeezed into high society, while the century-old Chen family ceased to exist. After I revealed the complete truth, the ballroom fell deathly silent for a long time. The first to change expression were elderly guests in the corner. They smashed their wine glasses, cursing quietly, absolutely shameful. Ladies covered their mouths, their elegant makeup unable to hide their disgust. Poor Chen family, a century of legacy all stolen by that social climber Robert Morrison. The younger generation finally recovered, looking at Sophie with mockery. No wonder her smile always seemed fake. Like mother, like daughter. Probably done plenty of evil. Behind the scenes. Tell me, I stepped toward Sophie in my heels, her face growing fearful, who's the real legitimate daughter? Whose mother is the shameful mistress? Sophie retreated until cornered, screaming, you're lying. My mother is the properly married Morrison matriarch. You're the bastard. All of you. Slap. A crisp sound echoed through the ballroom. Sister Lillian stood before Sophie, her gaze icy. That slap was for my mother. Slap. I raised my hand for another, harder slap. This one is to wake you up. My mother was assaulted by Robert Morrison. If I'm a bastard, then you, the mistress's daughter, aren't even that. At most, you're just trash. Sophie. Robert Morrison and Martha finally arrived after getting the news. Seeing how we treated Sophie, Martha immediately pulled her daughter behind her, harshly accusing us. Claire, are you insane? How dare you hit your sister? Robert pointed at me directly, shaking with anger. The Morrison family actually produced such an ungrateful wretch. Insubordination absolutely outrageous. Outrageous? This is outrageous? I laughed twice, then leisurely pulled out my phone and pressed play. Then let me show you what's truly outrageous. A serious police voice came through. Ms. Morrison, we've received your submitted evidence and are applying for interstate warrants to arrest the Morrison couple suspected of murder and illegal asset transfer. Robert's legs went weak, nearly collapsing. You actually called the police. What else? I held Sister Lillian's hand tightly. What goes around comes around. You murdered Mrs. Chen and drove my mother insane. Time to settle those old debts. Sophie saw the situation was lost and finally panicked. She threw herself at Marcus. Husband, save me. My parents must be framed. But Marcus stepped back in disgust, kicking her to the ground. Evidence is right in your face. And you're still in denial. I never imagined the Morrison family was this filthy. You, a mistress's daughter, think you're worthy of being Mrs. Sterling? Divorce tomorrow. If you don't come, I don't mind becoming a widower. Sophie looked shocked, unable to believe this was her husband of 7 years. Chapter 8. Seeing Marcus was hopeless, she frantically threw herself at Ethan. Ethan, help me. Help me one more time. You said you'd always love me. You said you'd sacrifice everything for me. But Ethan's eyes were vacant, as if he'd suffered some massive blow. My mother was killed by a mistress, and you're a mistress's daughter. No. Sophie shook her head desperately. What my mother did has nothing to do with me. I knew nothing. I'm innocent. Seeing Sophie crying pitifully, Ethan's eyes showed a flicker of hesitation. Yes, she was innocent. Parents' sins shouldn't be blamed on children. Seeing this, I sneered and threw a stack of reports at his face. Look carefully. You went crazy for her, sent your own wife to a psychiatric hospital, all because you thought she was kind-hearted, just like your late mother? Ethan looked down. One report clearly stated in black and white, patient Claire Morrison, all physical indicators normal, no mental or physiological illness. Stamped, Manhattan Psychiatric Hospital. His fingers trembled as he quickly flipped to the next page. It was the hospital director's confession of accepting bribes. He confessed that Sophie had paid him to forge medical records, deceiving others that she had a rare blood disorder. Report after report slipped from Ethan's hands. He panted heavily, blood vessels spreading like spider webs in his eyes. The next second, amid Sophie's screams, he grabbed her throat, his red eyes making him look like a rabid beast. You lied to me. How dare you lie to me? You married my brother and still strung me along. You destroyed my family. Hurt my wife. True to your mistress mother's teaching birds of a feather. Someone. Bring the electroshock equipment she used on my wife. Hold her down. Don't let her escape. In front of everyone, Sophie was tied to a pillar by Ethan. I remember you kept increasing the voltage on my wife. Today, you'll experience maximum voltage. Chapter 9. The moment electricity connected, Sophie's throat erupted in heart-rending screams, her eyes rolling back. After 3 minutes, the current cut off. She gasped like a fish out of water, body going limp. But before the venom in her eyes could gather, the next wave hit. This time, she couldn't even scream, only foam pouring from her mouth. Her once beautiful face gradually became ghostly pale and twisted. Martha, seeing her precious daughter humiliated like this, cried hysterically. Ethan, please let my daughter go. Take it out on me instead. Sure, Ethan waved his hand, bring more equipment. One for Mr. Morrison, one for Mrs. Morrison. See how fair I am, keeping your family together. Hearing this, Robert fainted immediately. Only Martha remained, struggling desperately while cursing everyone present. But after 2 shocks, she too fell silent like a dead fish. After Ethan tortured them until they were neither human nor ghost, he eagerly approached me. Excited, he fell to his knees before me, pleading with red eyes. Claire, I was wrong. I misjudged people and misunderstood you. But we're not divorced. I can spend the rest of my life making amends. Just nod, and I'll give you all my sterling shares. For your peace of mind. Chapter 10. Marcus also stood up. Yes, the Sterling family is known for our integrity in Manhattan. Unless something unexpected happens, you'll be my brother's only wife this lifetime. You don't know, during your 3 years missing, he drowned his sorrows in alcohol daily, neglecting even the company. Though marrying you was calculated, he truly fell in love with you afterward. Others chimed in. Yes, Claire, we all witnessed these 3 years. After you left, he couldn't sleep peacefully. He visited every hospital in the city. What happened was all Sophie's manipulation and instigation, not Ethan's intention. See how devoted he is. We not let go of the past and reconcile? I laughed until tears came. Meeting Ethan's hopeful gaze. I laughed through my tears, let go of the past. What about my 2 children's lives? Seeing Ethan's face change dramatically, I pointed at the screen and shouted, even tigers don't eat their cubs. But my husband Ethan. Believing Sophie's lies, to treat her illness, he drained my son and daughter's blood. As everyone turned to look at the screen, countless police burst through the doors. Police. Nobody move. Reporters who'd caught wind of the story followed. After the chaos settled, the ballroom finally quieted. Then, Emma's anguished cries came from the screen. Daddy, I don't want to give blood anymore. It hurts. Daddy, you killed brother. Why are you killing me too? Mommy. Mommy, save me. Emma doesn't want to die. Emma, be good. Bear with it a little longer. Your Aunt Sophie is waiting for your blood to save her life. In the center of the ballroom, Ethan stood frozen, all the flashing cameras like needles stabbing into his eyes. He suddenly remembered so many things. After every bath, he loved tickling Max and Emma's feet, making them giggle and call him Bad Daddy. He remembered his birthday when the 2 little ones built a big snowman outside, then excitedly pulled him to see it. Emma slipped and fell into his arms. He fell backward, and the 3 of them rolled in the snow, covered in snowflakes but unable to stop laughing. Back then, Claire always watched them with exasperation. That's enough. If you catch colds, you'll all be sneezing around me again. He finally broke down completely, kneeling on the ground, his spine collapsing inch by inch, hands in his hair, tears and snot covering his face. No, my Max and Emma. Daddy failed you. As he spoke, he began slapping himself. A crisp slap left clear red marks on his left cheek instantly. Feeling it wasn't enough, he backhanded himself harder. This time, blood trickled from his mouth. I was wrong, I was truly wrong. His slaps grew harder, his cheeks quickly swelling, tears mixed with blood streaming down, blurring his vision. I'm an animal. I failed you. You did fail us. I said sternly, so among those I reported to police, you're included. You killed my children. You should rot in hell. Everyone who'd committed crimes was handcuffed with cold metal. They dragged heavy steps past me, eyes full of desperate regret. A grand and absurd farce finally ended. I took Sister Lillian's hand and quietly left Manhattan. On the road, Sister Lillian looked at me with concern. Claire, where will you go next? Why not stay with me? The Chen family may have fallen, but there's still a place to stay. I gently patted her hand, smiling softly. Sister, I've applied to study abroad. I'm going to reclaim all the time I wasted on that scum. After darkness comes light, and my life is just beginning. The end.